Hi everybody. First of all, I'd like to start off by pointing out, yes, I am from Scotland, as one or two of you have noticed. I may not have the accent, but once you've lived in a country for as long as I have, then you qualify under residency, and I am far more Scottish than I am English. Don't let the accent fool you for one moment. As I say, I might be from Scotland, and maybe I don't know as much about the NFL as some people, but Mr. Ericosi, or maybe we should call you Mr. Dr. Pepperman, and I think I'll stick to my Pepsi Max. A word of advice. When you're stuck in a hole that you cannot get out of, stop digging. Now, I'm a Green Bay fan. Okay, that's simple. We've got a little saying. It goes, "Go Packers" and the Bears. Now, what I need you to do is just send me a list of the teams, if there are any, send me a list of the teams that you don't like. Okay? Simple. Now, I did laugh earlier at his message. We have some great banter, I must admit. Tomorrow it'll be 2 years since Making a Murderer came out, and I must admit that obviously I didn't follow it right from the start, but a lot of people would have assumed that you know, once it had come out sometime in January, the authorities would have stepped in and said, look, this needs to be sorted, and by about February Stephen and Brendan would be out. I'm afraid it doesn't work that way, even though we can see quite obviously the problems with the convictions, the evidence being so questionable. It doesn't quite work like that, and so inevitably there's little bits of doubt come in. I must admit, on one phone call with Robert Herman, my first phone call, he seemed so assured and so calm that for literally a nanosecond I thought, have I got this wrong? And then I realised, most definitely not. Now, first of all, I'd like to thank one of the people that's made comments, Thomas. Hence, I do like your comments. I fully appreciate how you are so pro Brendan, and would like, a little bit like Charles Darwin, you would like to believe that Steve is innocent, but until the evidence is produced, in effect, until we've got somebody named and convicted of the murder, somebody or somebodies, that's going to be difficult. Okay, and Thomas, you make a good point about the fact that Stephen Avery's next door neighbours, once the investigation is focusing in on the computer next to Stephen Avery's trailer, this does indeed present a problem, because it does bring the sort of focus back on the Avery salvage yard. And as I say, to the world famous botanist, guy that developed the theory of evolution, yes, I do believe that both Steve and Brendan are 100% innocent. Mainly through motive. They didn't have any motive, whereas others had huge motives. But also, obviously, the evidence is so questionable. Even Sheriff Robert Herman didn't deny to me on the phone a couple of conversations further down the line, as I said to him, if you had been convicted on that kind of evidence, would you not be a little bit upset? And he conceded that he can see how that would definitely concern him. Now, one of the things I did ask recently was I asked a few people, this is very hypothetical, but supposing Brendan did what he was supposed to do, not just confess, but take the plea bargain. That was what was supposed to happen. Brendan was going to be the star witness. That's what all the press conference was about. He was going to be the star witness that was going to nail Stephen Avery. But if he had taken the plea bargain and actually shown up at Stephen's trial, Dean and Jerry would have completely torn that confession to shreds, because, of course, it is a complete and utter nonsense. So I asked this, as I say, of several people, including, we're very, very fortunate on our side. We have some very, very clever lawyers, and I asked Tracy about this, and thank you, Tracy. She replied immediately, and just as I suspected, that yes, Dean and Jerry would have torn it. They would have had to tear it to shreds and show that it was complete and utter fabrication, that it was complete and utter nonsense. Indeed, I'm thinking that we hear in Making a Murderer about the fact that there was a confession expert lined up, ready. And I asked the question, well, would Sweaty have actually put Brendan on the stand? And the answer is almost certainly no. He couldn't possibly. The only purpose of Brendan was to get that confession and to do that press conference. After that, Brendan would have been completely unreliable. Until, of course, Brendan tells the truth, in which case he is able to defy and put explanations forward, even to the likes of Tom Fallon, who thought he was going to trip him up. But inevitably in life, if you tell the truth, that's always going to shine through. Now, as I say, from my point of view, I do believe totally, 100%, as does millions of people throughout the world, that Stephen and Brendan are totally innocent, and I keep repeating myself, and not just because of Making a Murderer. As I said, the one thing that we all did was we checked out the various stuff on the internet, various reports, and in particular, for me, I must admit, the videos that I found on YouTube were particularly interesting. And of course, I must give him huge credit. The videos by Eric Cozy are the best that I've ever come across. I like the fact that, yeah, you've got one or two of them that are clearly done in studios, even more high tech, but they don't come across as genuine as Eric Cozy. One that's always stuck in my mind was the one about Xander Road, the other one about the blood splatter in the car, and obviously the planting of the blood by the ignition. That was really good. And he also did a video about the bookcase. Now the bookcase is an interesting thing, isn't it? Because why do we even need to discuss a bookcase? It was so obvious the key was planted. The trouble is, of course, as I explained before, the police are always totally believed. Some people will never ever go against what the police have said, and therefore it does create a problem. And that's why Zelnet is having to go to lengths of producing a video to show quite clearly that the key did not suddenly sprout legs and pop out of that bookcase. Also, the articles by John Farrak, they helped me tremendously. And I must also say, shout out to the girls, Ali and Casey and Laura. And, oh, hold on a sec. I've just had an email come in. Oh, look, Eric Cozy has sent me a list of the teams that he doesn't support. Ha ha ha! Bye for now.